Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Red Dirt Aggie Show. I'm Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie, and with Garrett Smith again. One of our first guests back when we started doing video episodes last season, and we're back here in season three, and it's good to have you back, man.
Howdy, it's good to be here at 3 already. That's
Yeah, we're on season three. Well, season one, we didn't have video, so that one was just audio only on Spotify. Season two launched when we moved over to doing YouTube and stuff, and so since it's 2024, I said, screw it, we're gonna start season three. So, uh, but we had about like I think like 26 episodes or something last season. So,
oh,
or
cool.
so we'll see how many we can get this year. I think that'll be cool. So,
Well, you
but
poem on here since last time I was on here, so I'm glad the club hasn't gotten so exclusive. I can't get back in the door.
oh yeah, I mean we're just we've been rolling, I'll reach out to people, we see who we can get, but it's been fun. It's been a wild ride. uh,
Thanks, that's
but
cool.
you're an OG, so you're one of the first ones, so you're always welcome back, man. What's been going on with you? I remember, last time you were on here, you kind of announced your hiatus, and I mean, you want to tell us a little bit about that, or kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so last time I was on here, I was hanging it up for a while, and I told people on your podcast that it's not forever. It's
Right.
few months, 1 year, 2 year, 10 years. And when I said that, I really had no idea. I kind of thought 1 or 2 years would be the minimum. Um, just to not beat a dead horse, but a long story short, it's just a matter of I had too many irons in the fire, too many projects at once, a lot happening professionally and personally. You just sometimes you got to take a step back, take care of your physical health, and even more importantly, your mental health. I just anxiety and depression are no jokes. So if you just try to toughen through them, it's not going to work. So I just needed
Yeah.
some time to do that and really organize and just scatter out, prioritize things, build a bunch of flow charts and spreadsheets on how to really manage everything I had going on, cut a few projects. I actually shut down my side business, not because it was a bad business or anything, but I thought, okay, that's something I can remove without taking a loss. And I think that would help. So it's really been a matter of just prioritizing. And in the meantime, like I said I was going to do, I kept writing songs. I've got about 22 that I've either put demos together or I'm in the process of writing or I've conceptualized them. So there's enough songwriting that's been going on to last me probably this year and next year for new albums if I want to record them. So which I will. Volumes 5 and 6. I already have album covers made, all that jazz. But um, the big project I've been working on in the meantime, other than raising a toddler, because that kind of takes is there's this book I've been working on writing for about 13 years. And it took place mostly in my undergraduate and has quite a few crazy stories that happened with my collegiate group after we graduated. So
Right.
basically, a sitcom, but instead of 5 or 6 characters, there's like 20, and it's just a big mess. So I wrote like an 800-page book. I finished that up. Actually, my goal was get certified for my job for my 8 to 5 and finish this book by 2024. And I finished the book on New Year's Eve with about 4 hours to go. So
Wow.
those have kind of taken up the time, and then yeah, gearing up to come back. It was just a matter of when one of the reasons I stopped also was, man, the economy the way it is, I can't be traveling around and spending money on travel, paying band members, doing a bunch of stuff like that on the road. I need to be home with my toddler and my wife and all that kind of stuff. Well, then I thought about it. I'm like, well, maybe if I just play a bunch of local shows, I can make a little extra money in this economy. And so what ended up being one of the reasons I left is also one of the reasons I'm coming back. And not to make it sound like I'm in it for the money, there's a part of it I missed. And so what we're gonna do is we actually don't have a full band for the stage at the moment. What we do is we have pre-recorded backing tracks for bass, guitar, drum, and all that. And I'm on vocals. I'll probably add a little guitar here and there. And we actually have two dancers who are going to interact with the audience and hype up the crowd. And their names are Harley and Solstice, and they're amazing. And yeah, it's gonna be an interesting format. But yeah, I've actually our management's reached out to former band members saying, hey, if you want to come open a show, be a part of it one way or another. That way, everyone's kind of still included. So I'm excited to see who turns up and what happens with it.
Yeah.
Well, so really, I am the band, just playing over a track like I did at my farewell show. But with the dancers on stage, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have some like crowd interaction. There's a couple of sort of like competitions, contest games that happen during songs, and they'll interact with the crowd. I'm not going to spill the beans on everything we're doing because we actually have some surprises that we're going to roll out at the first show. But there's some new songs. We have stage lights that color coordinate with the songs. We have several songs that haven't been played live, so it's going to be exciting to see. We're changing up the list of covers and everything. We're adding a lot of covers, and we're going to make it to where the audience will have a list of covers and say for $5, play one of these songs. We'll play like a Colby Cooper, Koe Wetzel kind of song. $10, bump it up to Kevin Fowler, Randy Rogers. We also have a lot of rock songs, so we have
Right.
like BBC, Guns N' Roses, that kind of stuff. The band's going to be more of a rock format, and we'll still do a little bit of country stuff, but it's going to be pretty heavy rock and roll. And also the fact that we have a 2-for-1 cover song on that list that people can request to hear. I like to call it "Take My Motorcycle." It is a hybrid of "Take My Heart" by Rich O'Toole and "Motorcycle Drive-By" by Zach Bryan, and let's just say it makes for an easy transition.
Well, I think that's that's funny. I had Rich O'Toole on. He's been on here a couple times, and he gave his whole side of that scenario and stuff. And I just that whole thing just cracks me up. But
So,
that we have
fourth grade.
like after it had all settled down, and he goes, "That sounds like a high Q I made when I was like 12 or something." And then Rich was on, and he was saying, after that point, Zach blocked me, and I never heard from him again.
Zach's got talent, but man, his fan base is rabid. Like I don't even want to go down that
Yeah.
rabbit.
Well, it's kind of like his fan base. They remind me a lot of like the Swifties, like the
Oh yeah,
Taylor Swift fan base. They're just one of those die-hard fan bases that like it's cool that that the artist has built a fan base like that, but you don't want to mess with them because they will find
right.
everything out about you.
Wife and some people the other day. I said, the next presidential election, instead of just having the Democrat primary, the Republican primary, the Libertarian caucus, there needs to be a fourth one, and it needs to be like the celebrity category, but it has to be like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Zach Bryan, and Michelle Obama, because you're not allowed to say one of them's better than the other. You would just one just it would be like Thanos. I think half our population would disappear.
It's just like the celebrity category. Yeah, man.
Uh,
All the respect for Zach Bryan. I love his music. Big fan, but big fan of Rich O'Toole too.
yeah.
And so it's like, I don't pick sides. I just report the news and play into the drama.
Well, what's gonna be
But
interesting is BMI or ASCAP want to cover for royalties, and they look at that song and say, well, "Which artist are you covering?" And I was like, "Well, I got to quit doing that." Hopefully. Yeah, the other thing we were talking off the air about what I've been working on, and I totally left this out, but I've actually put out 2 music videos since the last time we talked, and so that was a whole process. Bell County Breakdown and Party Out Back, and I just want to point out real quick, this is leftover apple cider from Christmas. I realize it comes across as orange on the screen, but this is clearly not an orange cup, so it is brown. Just in case any diehards out there. No, the music videos, yeah, Bell County Breakdown and Party Out Back. So I've got about 6 or 7 videos that were written years ago. The concepts are very old, but I never had the chance to film them. And so now that I live in Bell County, and I wrote these back when I lived in Houston. So now that I live in Bell
right,
County, I'm like, well, I should film a video to Bell County Breakdown as low hanging fruit. And yeah, basically just ended up being a lot of small businesses that we gave free shout outs to. And yeah, it was just kind of like free publicity for any businesses that I like to utilize or just longtime staples of the community. We actually got denied permission to film at the University of Mary Hardin Bay, which is my undergraduate alma mater, which is just so weird to me because free
yeah,
publicity. Yeah,
right.
ran into no issues. It was a lot of fun to film, and um, I, it was interesting. We had a lot of plans for Party Out Back, and we're trying to film that for over a year. And we had, we were going to use my property at one point, but the crew bailed. We were going to use a friend's property at one point, but the scheduling didn't work out. Stuff kept pushing it back and back and back, and finally, the thought crossed my mind. I thought, I've never been to Rednecks with Paychecks up in St. Joe, Texas, and all I knew about it was that it's a fog and it's just a big mud party. I thought, I bet I could make it there. And I had already gotten EOR Stunts, which is a group run by J.J. Allen up in Virginia, and they've been on Tosh.0, Vice TV, all this stuff. It's basically like Jackass back in the day, but probably more. And so I had reached out and said, hey, and this was several years ago. I said, can we do a video to this song with your footage and mine? He's like, yeah, if you're serious about it, let's do it. We never got around to it, so I reached out this past year, said, we're going to do it. Got delayed some more. Finally, I went to Rednecks with Paychecks just with a camera, a big neon sign that said music video, waiver forms, just see who wants to be in a video. I had no idea how wild that place is. And like there's whenever it shows me singing the song, I'm wearing a lax shirt and I'm on my tailgate of my truck and there's people dancing in the truck. And there were these three girls. I didn't know who they were before I pulled up. There's a line in that song where it says, bring the shiner and the jack. Well, I had brought a shiner six pack and a bottle of Jack just for that scene. And I said, you have this shiner if y'all want to be in this video. And they're like, yeah, okay. They're like, you just want to dance on your truck? I'm like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I'm filming. Truck bed starts bouncing. And I thought, I have no idea what's going on behind me, but whatever it is, it's probably going to be an interesting video. And sure enough, they knocked the park, and it was what it was. Did it all in one take. But I just collected all this footage, and I had so much footage to use by the time I got home that I actually had to add a guitar solo to the original song, and I redid the vocals to make it a little better. The music video itself,
she could squeeze more footage in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little better than the recorded version on Spotify and stuff, but maybe I'll re-release it at some point.
Well, that's Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's actually a trend that we've discovered. So on the Port Aransas video and the Northgate Nights video that you've seen, I realized there's actually like a street preacher in both videos. There's a guy named Bob. I just blanked on his name and I feel really bad for it. Bob Hiatus. He goes to every spring break. He's been there for like 20 years. He carries this cross with him, and he just he's not like judgy preachy. He just gets to know people, and that's his like ministry. And so now he and I are familiar with each other. We run into each other every year down there. And there was a street preacher who was fire and brimstone yelling at people at Northgate when I did Northgate Nights. So I was like, man, I gotta throw a minister and all this other stuff into every video I do. And so for Bell County Breakdown, we have my pastor preaching on a stage. And then in Party Out Back, in the credits at the very end, blurry in the background, it's the Christian Motorcycle Association picking up trash after the mud bog. And so and every video has a backflip or front flip. And so with Bell County Breakdown, we had a last minute cancellation on people that were going to go to Lake Belton. So we cut that scene. Credits, there's also someone smoking a cigar in every video. I'm like, I don't have to go. So if you look at the credits at the end of Bell County Breakdown, you see me doing a flip into Lake Belton with a cigar in my mouth. And I think those are the preacher, the flip, the cigar. Those are pretty much the common themes.
It's like the little Easter eggs.
Yeah. People dancing is the other. Gotta have those main four.
Yeah, people dancing, of course. Well, I mean, you gotta have people dancing if it's a music video.
Oh, yeah. And we've got planned for Rodeo, Rev and Ride, So Do I, and Space City. Those are like the four we really want to do.
Right. And Space City would be a cool one. You could shoot somewhere in Houston.
I would have the four major league mascots behind me as the band. Clutch, Toro,
Yes.
Diesel. Maybe have like a bunch of guys like Paul Wall and Rich O'Toole and all this in like a for part of it wearing grills. The sky would be the limit
Oh, that would be hilarious if you could get like if you could get Paul Wall and then and Rich O'Toole to both like wear a grill in the background. Can you imagine Rich back there with a grill like holding a taco and like a can of beans or something or like
Something-
chili.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I might be able to do if I reach out to the right people is during the guitar solo in the middle of that song, I'd love to have like a Mattress Mac commercial air in the middle of it.
Oh, that'd be sick. I'm kind of starting to get like to where I love like making these videos and stuff now. Like I'd never shot a episode of the podcast anywhere but just in this room, which is just like my little like makeshift studio in my house. But so the other day I got to go out and shoot, and it'll be the premiere of season 3 because it comes out. It's actually coming out tomorrow at the time of this recording. But I
Cool.
got the opportunity to go over and shoot in a honky tonk that's opening up soon near me, and it was just really cool capturing like the inside of it. I got a new camera and stuff, and I was just playing around with it in there. And then the artist actually got up on stage and played some songs and stuff. So it was just cool to be able to go and like shoot that, and then take the time to edit it all together nicely and just make a nice like presentation. I felt so good when I finally finished editing it. I'm like, this is so cool.
There's definitely
So
satisfying to finally watch the final product. It's of course the only downside is if it's a music video, you get so sick of hearing the song that it could be other. Now this is a good song, and then you're already to the point where you never want to hear it again. It's yeah, and like if I had a nickel every time I've had to hear Port Aransas, I could buy my own condo down
right, just yeah, I guess because it's like it's not that it's really that hard to edit some of the videos and stuff with the software and stuff they have now, but it's tedious because you have to get everything just to the right timing until you're playing it over and over and over and over again.
there. And recording music's the same way. And of course, once I'm tired of hearing the song, I've got to the point my little toddler, she's a year and a half years old, and she loves to watch those videos. Um, I don't really let her watch Party Out Back, but the other three, she just even if she sees my logo, she looks up at the screen and just goes da 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 da, and so I'm like, all right, well,
That's your number one fan right there.
yeah,
That's awesome, man. And how old's your little one?
year and a half, and she's already got like a little miniature guitar that she plays, and yeah, she's be musical and more. She'll be better at it than I am because she's already a smart little one.
Well, yeah, maybe she'll. Well, maybe one day you'll be helping her make music videos and stuff too. That'd be cool.
Yeah, cool. I mean, who knows? My sister's a recording artist out in Nashville, so it runs in the family.
hmm And what's
Her name's Rachel Elizabeth on Spotify. She has one song. It's called "He Wants You." It's a Christian song. She put it out this past year, and so it's done pretty well. In fact, I think she got played in more countries than I did, and I've been around a lot longer than she has. So, good job. You're leapfrogging me with one song. Kudos. She's been working on music for a long time, so I'm pretty happy for her.
um? Can we talk about what the show you're playing in College Station at Stampede?
Yeah, absolutely. So freshly announced that on February 17th, we will be performing at Stampede in College Station. It's interesting. Originally, we were scheduled for a different date, and the moment I booked it, I looked at the calendar and realized A&M was playing Alabama in basketball that day, and I'm like, no, or they were playing somebody at home. I was like, let's figure out when they're on the road and there's nothing else going on in town. So we scheduled
Yeah.
February 17th, and we have a show the night before that here in Belton, Texas, and so we'll be driving over there and playing for a few hours. But yeah, we're going to have none other than the host of the Red Dirt Aggie Show come out and introduce us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that to come out and kind of be a part of the show a little bit and see the new format. It sounds like it sounds like a great format for something in a college town too,
Oh
like
yeah,
a party atmosphere, getting the crowd involved and stuff. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the stuff they do over at the Tap, like the piano bars and stuff, where everybody's kind of involved and singing along, and I think that's gonna be cool.
that's what we're aiming for. And I mean, it's really we went for that format because you can scale it down to a living room format for like a fraternity house party, or you can put it
Yeah,
on Larry Joe Taylor Fest. And I mean, which Larry Joe hit us up. But yeah,
yeah,
it's really built to fit any format. And not many bands in Texas do that, but there's a lot of them throughout the Southeast, especially in the dirt rock scene that do that. And I wouldn't say we're leaning away from country, but there's dirt rock is another term for like kind of like the country hip hop and rappers, but also with more rock and roll on top of it. It's kind of like the rock heavy kind. So really, bands like the Lax and the Moonshine Bandits is kind of what we're getting into.
yeah.
And so it's interesting. I don't really fit any category. I tell people we're like ZZ Top. It's rock and roll. Enjoy it.
Well, that's like another term I've heard for that more rockin' side of the Texas music scene is from a friend of mine, Rob White. He
Yeah,
plays bass for Gosh and Jeffrey, but he's got Shred Dirt, and that's his clothing line too. And I wish I would have thought of that like name first because that's like a badass name for a podcast or something. I don't know, but
Rob.
Shred Dirt, I love that. I have one of his hats out. I think it's out in my truck, but I actually just got my own hat here.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Red Dirt Aggie Show hat. So I want to try to eventually get like some merch and stuff for the show, just to try to raise a little bit of money for stuff. But yeah,
Well,
looking
funny
forward
you
to
mentioned
that.
a buddy of mine when we were at A&M, still good friends, and we've hooked each other up with bass opportunities because we're both bass players. And back when he was with the Landon Evans band, they had reached out to me. I'm like, well, I can't do it. You need to talk to this guy Rob. He's really good. And so he ended up performing with them for a while. And he's got a really good podcast too. For anyone listening, the Red Ass podcast. He and Roy May,
Yeah,
the Yell Leader, while I was at A&M, also a really cool dude. They were on my podcast. We did a crossover episode back when I had a
yeah,
podcast, so like a web. But yeah, Rob, there's a video on my YouTube channel way back in like 2015, I think, maybe 16. So before I'd ever actually played an official gig, we did the open mic at Chicken Oil Company, and so I think we played
yeah.
Just One Look and I can't remember, maybe Port Aransas. I think those were the two songs we played. But he was on guitar and I was just doing vocals, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, I've actually watched some of their stuff before too. I need to reach out to him. I'd like to do a crossover with him too, kind of promote all of us Aggies help each other out, promoting our podcast.
And there needs to be like a round table sports show of like Roy and Rob, and then have like Adam Drake, me, just a couple other people. I was just kind of like naming the
Yeah,
world.
all of us just hop on like one and just like we'd be like all the talking heads like on Sports Center. Just I was like, so what? Like, dude, I don't know. That would be sick if we
Yeah,
could get everyone together and then like all the Twitter personalities and stuff too.
we'll get Jay Arnold with the
Or
tough mayo on there, and then you've got the whole thing made.
yeah, or sorry, not Twitter. What's it called now? X or whatever. That just makes me uncomfortable calling it X.
Yeah,
I don't
nobody.
know. Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, anything else that you want to tell us about coming back? Any particular shows or songs or changes to the format you want to share while you're here on the show today?
I would say just expect to come out and have a good time. Feel like you're a part of the show. If you want to be a part of the show, we'll probably make you a part of the show. Have a couple songs, bring people on stage for it. And if nothing else, I'm going to be reaching out to people who were in the Northgate Nights music video and inviting everybody out. And one of the goals we have is to have an after party of every show, just so we can really make people feel included. And that way, if we didn't get to talk to them at the venue or at the gig, we can hang out with them afterwards. And that really makes the whole scene feel a little bit, closer to what's going on. And so I like to do that. I've seen a lot of artists who, they have that layer of security. You got to go like buy the VIP pass to meet them and all that and stuff.
Right.
I've seen other artists who just go and they meet everybody. I met Kevin Fowler at his own merch tent this past year. He's well past the whole meet everyone at the merch table status,
Yeah.
but Bree Bagwell always goes and meets her fans. There's just a lot of people that it's just fun to interact with people and build that network. I just realized I'm
Uh,
wearing this
oh, you have a shirt on, don't you?
when I started doing music, and it's been super supportive ever since that. One of the sweetest people. In fact, when I went on hiatus, she was one of the people that texted me and was like, "Oh my gosh, like I just saw this," and yeah, just you don't see many people that work that hard and have earned the accolades, and frankly, I think are still underrated.
Hmm. Yeah, she definitely doesn't get the full attention or appreciation she deserves.
Well, I'm not
I,
on the last podcast. I can't remember. I toot this horn all the time. But when it comes to women on the Texas music scene, they get hosed. Like you could have
yeah,
female artists
absolutely.
talent at any music festival, and they're still not in the biggest print. They're still not headlining. Well, you could take Chili Fest, like Joe Taylor Fest, Cotton Fest, any of them. Have a day that's completely female artists, and you still have a great response. You'll have a few naysayers like, but you would.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. There's so much many talented females on the Texas music scene. And Real Hutchins is another one that I'm going to have coming on soon.
Oh, good.
Um, and then yeah, Bree Bagwell. We did Peyton Howie a little while back,
Saw
which
that.
she's
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just we're trying to spotlight artists of every kind really here in Texas and all around. And then I've also been kind of reaching out here to just other people that are involved in the industry in different ways. Like we had Andrew Quinn. He's a photographer and videographer, and so we had him come on for an interview. I think we're trying to do a good job of reaching out to a bunch of different people to get them here on the episode.
So when I had a podcast, there was an episode where I knew there was going to be a lot of cussing in advance. so I mean, I think Rich, he cussed a couple times on my episode. A couple other people would throw one or two. We had Quade Addison of the Quade Things podcast with Jared Flushy, he's been like lead guitar player for Wetzel. He's with Geo and the Hired Guns now. And we just knew there was going to be a lot of bleeping. So we used the dolphin bleep from SpongeBob.
Oh
And
my god, that's amazing.
dolphins squealed 42 times on one episode. It was fantastic. And yeah, that's
Oh, and with the dolphin
a
beep is the best
shout
one.
out.
But yeah, the like oh, that's
Y'all got
that's one of my favorite episodes. That Sailor Mouth where he's like, "Hey Patrick, how the are you?"
getting up on
Oh
this trip.
man.
Yeah, if you go to my website and you click on the Garrett Smith podcast button, there's like a rundown of all the episodes I did, and that's one of the 3 videos I put out was the one with those guys because it's just one of the funniest ones.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, anyone who hangs around Co Wetzel long enough, I'm sure it's gonna come out being pretty funny because that dude's hilarious too.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
Geo also. I mean, both of them.
I need to meet Gio. We're
But
face never met in person. There was an event we were supposed to both play one time, and I forgot what happened, but he wasn't able to make it. And so, Gio, if you're out there, man, I'll come open for you any day. We'll have a good time.
yeah, I went and saw him play at a venue about 15 or 20 minutes from my house. And I was so mad because we left after he finished his show, me and my wife did. And then about 15 or 20 minutes after we left, right about the time I'm pulling in the driveway, I got a text, and it was our friends that were there with us, with Geo, like taking a picture, hanging out with him out by his, I guess his van. And I was like, dang, we should. I didn't know he was just gonna be out there taking pictures. We would have stayed, got to meet him and stuff.
Yeah,
But
video is one of the funniest music videos anybody's ever made in Texas music. It's like it sounds like 2000s punk, but it's just I don't know. I've seen that movie or that video a million times. It's hilarious.
yeah, no, and I think it's really unique what Gio's done too, like because it's like bringing in a little bit of like like the Latino like Mexican
Yeah,
Tejano kind of music into punk rock into country like all kind of blended together. That's why like Tejano Punk Boys is what they named their
yeah.
album, and I couldn't really think of a better name than
Well, I
that.
saw him at Larry Joe Taylor Fest. I think it was 2, 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. And that was the night when they came out with the green masks, and I think they had just bought them somewhere. So he had like a Stars jersey, and stage was like purple smoke. They walk out in the green mask, and I'm like, okay. So I had never watched him before. I'd barely listened to him. I was just kind of skeptical because I thought some of his fans were going to be kind of like what we were talking about earlier, the ones that were like, well, if you don't like this artist, then which his fans are not that way. I just kind of have this preconceived notion, I guess. And I went and I was like, okay, let's see what this guy's all about. I mean, like 2 or 3 songs in, he'd won me over. They put on the best show at Larry Joe Taylor Fest that year. No offense to any of the other artists, they were great too. But man, I mean, they rocked the house that night, and it was awesome.
Well, yeah, and just continuing on with the talking all these artists that are playing the more rockin' side of things. Treaty Oak Revival's new album, man, is sweet.
Yeah,
I don't know if you listened to them at all, but we had them on last season as well. Basically, all of them came on at the same time, and some of their videos were going in and out, so it was a little difficult to get them all recorded at the same time. But it was really an interesting and really fun interview. Those guys are all super nice and really funny too. But also just incredibly talented musicians, and they already had some great music out before, but this album really was straight fire, I guess you could say. I'm gonna go see him at Harry's later this month, so I'm looking forward to
we
that.
it's funny we were mentioning Adam Drake earlier too, because I keep getting these pop up notifications on my phone while we're doing this, and it's like all Instagram. They're like, Adam Drake sent you a reel by this. We're always sending each other ridiculous stuff. He just sent me something from a page called Petty Betches. So we'll see what. Shout out to the Dixie Chicken. Dude, that'd be a good
Oh
place.
yeah, a good place to record a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reached out to the chicken, and a long time ago. Maybe I need to reach out again. Now that I've had some more guests and stuff, but I wanted to interview the people who own it, just
Yeah.
for an episode because I was like, what better place to talk to some people about than that. I mean, there's been famous musicians play there. It's Aggie related. I'm like, I thought it'd fit great for the podcast, but I actually just saw a thing that says Treaty Oak Revival just announced their Grand Ole Opry debut, so that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Whiskey
That's,
Riff article.
that way you can look at it and say, I talked to him first.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it was really cool getting them. Well, we haven't talked much here on the podcast in a while. What we haven't talked about is sports,
Yeah.
particularly Aggie sports. And given that we have a football in our logo, we probably should talk sports every now and then on the podcast. I know we've been more. I know I'm definitely geared more towards music now. I think that has a larger draw audience wise, and it's been really fun just talking to all the different people in the industry. But I mean, I love sports too,
Yeah.
and I think you're kind of the same way.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. I
I
mean,
saw
anyone,
your post where you followed a team from every single conference and stuff.
yeah,
Uh,
uh, anyone that follows my Instagram will know it's like music based. Anyone that follows me on Twitter probably can't tell what my angle is. I don't know if it's music, sports, or politics. Very sports heavy on Twitter or X or whatever. Yeah, so some college buddies of mine, we were like, hey, we should follow a team from every conference and league or whatever. And I think I may have been the only one that did it, but so I started with high school, and I didn't even put my own high school, but Childress High School from the Panhandle. It's where my mother went to high school, and that place was like my other hometown, and I love going there, feel at home there, and so I followed the Childress Bobcats, and then Division 3. Obviously, I followed my undergrad UMHB, which had just a horrendous year. They had their worst year since 1998 or 97.
really,
It
because I thought they had won a national championship not too long ago for D3.
Yeah, we've won 3, and what's crazy is like we're on our second year with a new coach, and yeah, I hope it was just a off year, but I mean, when you have 3 or 4 losses, and that's the second or third worst year in your entire history, I mean that's you still got a good program.
Yeah.
Division 2, I followed West Texas A&M because they're from my hometown of Canyon. Um, who else? So then you kind of move them to FCS. I follow Idaho. They play at the Kibby Dome. Awesome
Oh
stadium.
yeah.
Bucket list of going to a game there. I've been kind of supporting them ever since their president hosed them and dropped them down to FCS. So now that
Well,
they're
I
one of
I remember them back in the old NCAA video games. I used to always try to you try to rebuild your dynasty with Idaho and make them into a
yeah,
powerhouse.
at the bottom, but I mean they're right up there with Montana, and or they beat Montana, I believe, and or no, they barely lost to Montana, but they're up there with the Dakotas and all those big ones. So They're doing well for
Yeah.
themselves. In Division One FBS though, like I had a team in every conference except the Pac. I'm texting these guys. I'm like, dude, I can't really get into the Pac-12. And as we learned about 3 days later, neither could everyone else because it didn't
Because
matter.
it's folding. Yeah.
So having lived in North Carolina and Texas and Nebraska, I mean, my teams for that were in the American. I have East Carolina, Big Ten, Nebraska, ACC, NC State, Big 12, Texas Tech, and SEC, Texas A&M. So it made for an interesting follow.
Where did you live at in North Carolina? I actually lived out there for about 12 years.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a town
Yeah.
called Clay, right outside of Raleigh.
What was the name of the town? Sorry, I didn't
Clay.
get it. Clayton?
Yeah, little
Oh,
little.
yeah, I was from I just lived in like the Charlotte area.
Oh,
And then my grandparents had a place up at Lake Norman too that we would go
oh,
to a lot. My grandma still has like a house out there, and I have some aunts and uncles that live out there too. But that's where my mom, my mom's side of the family kind of was from. My dad was from here in Texas, but so we lived out there from when I was maybe like 2 or 3 until about 11 or 12, and then moved back out to Texas. But so like I was raised a Panthers fan, Carolina Panthers fan, so it's been
yeah.
a miserable season for me.
Oh,
Um,
that's.
but
I lived there when they started. And I remember my third grade teacher, her brother-in-law played for him. It was like the inaugural year. It was the coolest thing. But I wasn't as into sports as a lot of people when I was a little kid. I didn't really take off until junior high for me. And so the Panthers were going to be my team. But I went to the Houston Livestock Show that year when they were building NRG Stadium.
yeah,
And we're about to start. And I thought, well, if I'm starting, I might as well start fresh with them. So the Panthers were always kind of my number two. So of course, Houston was their only win this year, and then for a while,
yeah,
eventually it was like, okay, yesterday we needed, or 2 days ago, we really needed the Panthers to beat Jacksonville for us, and they couldn't pull it. I couldn't even score. So I'm like, man, they're really hosing the Texans this year, but the Texans are having a decent year. They could still win the division, which is
well, yeah, and
crazy.
that's the thing. I'm a Texans fan too, unless they're playing the Panthers. I mean, I would
Yeah.
put them like I have Panthers, and then right below them is the Texans. But and then really everyone else, I just kind of have individual players on other teams when it comes to the NFL that either play to A&M or that are just players that I like. Or I also play fantasy football. I'm in a dynasty league, and I made it to the championship this year, but lost, which kind of sucked because my opponent had CD Lamb, which did not help this past week. So he had like 30 something points in that ridiculous game. But
It was
oh
insane.
man.
Yeah, there's been for the past like 2 or 3 seasons, I just keep talking back and forth on Twitter or X with Rich O'Toole and Parker McCollum, and now I guess we've all been on your podcast. But I keep saying, when are we going to buy the Texans? We're going to pull together and buy the Texans, and it's, I obviously we don't have the money for that, but that was especially during the Bill O'Brien years. I'm like, I'm no expert, but I think maybe the three of us could run it better than this. So thankfully they're turning things around, and we don't need to buy them. But maybe we'll get a next team. Who knows?
I need to buy the Panthers though. Apparently, it's a disaster there. Judging off Panthers Twitter and social media, the fan base wants their owner to sell the team. And then there was another thing I saw on ESPN the other day, talking about how I think it was at the Jaguars game or something. One of the games they said they had footage of the Panthers owner like throwing a drink at a Jaguars fan or something. I'm just like, not a great look for the whole organization right now. And
Yeah,
they fired their coach before he even coached a whole season this year. So like,
yeah. I think that if you're still supporting Frank Reich the third, you're technically supporting the Third Reich. I'm like, dude, that was the meanest on a coach ever.
oh,
But man, yeah, it was
wow.
it's been rough for the Panthers. I hope they turn it around next year for real, because they had Matt Rule, and Matt Rule's a good coach. He's at Nebraska. He's already turning them around. So I don't think it was the coach that was the problem. I think there's just a lot of organization issues out there. And
I think the owner's meddling too much in what the coach and the GM are trying to do. Like, I think he's too involved, and he needs to either step back a little bit or just come sell the team.
well, shout out to the NHL to Houston crowd. Maybe if the Texans don't need us to buy on, me and Parker and Rich can buy an NHL team and put them in the Astrodome or something.
Yeah, but though, like the one in Arizona, they'd
Yeah,
play like in a little stadium.
no
I
kidding.
know there's
Have you?
rumors, always rumors that they're gonna move here.
There's been a rumors for a couple of years, and it wouldn't surprise me. But have you seen the movie Semi Pro with Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
Man, like he plays and coaches his own team and owns them, and he's also a former pop singing sensation. He's like a one hit wonder, and he's
Yeah.
intro to his own games. I'm like,
Will
I can play
Ferrell.
the while the team be great.
Oh man, yeah. I had a buddy in college, and he was my roommate a couple of years too. Shout out Sam if you're watching this, but he had the hair that looked just like Jackie Moon in that movie. And he would at Halloween he would dress up like Jackie Moon, and
Yeah,
also just every now and then we would go to like a basketball game or a football game, and he would dress up like him just because. And people would always be like, "Oh, I like the outfit, man." And like, where did you get that wig? He's like, "Oh no, that's my actual hair." And everyone was like, "No way!" They'd be like, "Can I like pull it like to see if it's real?" But and people would take pictures with him and stuff. It was just it was his thing, but it was funny. And then he wore it to the A&M Kentucky game one of the years that we won, and we were like tailgating outside. It's like 46 degrees, and he's got the short shorts and like the stuff on. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're too into this. But shout out Sam, man. I hope you're
yeah.
watching the pod for this episode. Oh man, yeah, Sam slash Jackie. Oh, but and when we'd go to, he loved that movie too because we go to restaurants and stuff, and sometimes he'd put in his name as Jackie instead of Sam. At that point, I was like, okay, man, you need to chill out a little bit,
Legit.
um, but yeah, man. And then I guess A and M. I went to the Texas Bowl, by the way,
Oh no,
and it was just like depressing from the beginning because it was just like the first play of the game. Poor Jalen Henderson, who's already our third string quarterback, like broke his arm or whatever on the first play. It was
I
just
didn't
like
keep you
in
on
a
yet.
cast coming off the field. Yeah, and that's what most people I'm sure turn it on and they're like, "What the?"
Oh
Because
yeah, I was like,
I got a text from my friend. He's like, "What's happening with A&M?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't want to know."
well, if anything, if you have your fourth string freshman quarterback in, and a bunch, basically your practice squad is out there playing the runner up to the Big 12 championship with most of their starters, and you're still only one fumble from winning the thing. I mean, you put Mike Elko in charge of that, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I mean that shows we have depth, I guess, because we had the 12th man playing defense. Also, shout out to him. He made an interception, by the way. It was pretty sweet.
That was he
Um,
had
Played a
himself
really
a
good game.
yeah. Well,
Especially, I mean,
I
he's
don't know
usually
if
on special teams.
yeah, I don't
Sorry, what
know.
was that?
I've always had this theory that the politics of the whole thing, they were just going to wuss around both sides, and they were going to wait until A&M was on the decline and Texas was back, and then they would agree to play each other. Here we are.
Hmm.
Called that
Yeah,
one.
but that just sets it up for us to shock the world and just beat the tar off of them next year. It'd be
Oh,
sweet if like they're like on the cusp of like making the playoff or something, and we just like absolutely obliterate them and Kyle next year.
yeah, that'd be all right. You ruined our exit. Let's ruin your entry. That's. I was hoping what
Yes.
Texas Tech would do to them what they did to us, but they weren't even close. Weren't
Yeah.
even. Which I got to give
But
shout out to Tech. It's like I didn't go there. I've worked there. Had family that went there. They're like my favorite Big 12 school by far. But man, they're good for red dirt and the Texas music scene and rock and roll and all that too. We have a show up there too, not long after College Station. So I'm really shout out to my Red Raider brethren. We're happy to get out there too.
well, yeah, the music scene up there is awesome. Too with like the blue light, and then there's a few other places up there too. Where
We
is it? Where are you playing out there?
Bar PM on April.
Oh, I've heard of that. Okay.
Don't quote me, I don't know, but it's literally across the street from Texas Tech. I mean, it's Broadway is Texas Tech's Northgate, and it's
Right.
hopping. During football season especially. But yeah, we'll be there in it'll be April, so really there's no sports going on at all except maybe baseball, and so it'll be interesting to be. there when it's like, okay, got nothing to do tonight? Come on out of the show
Yeah.
for you. We have a song that's not completely done yet. I'm working on it. It's called "Get Wrecked." It's actually a tech based song, just because it'd be a blast to play out there. It's like it's a borderline metal song, and so we've been kind of teasing that we're going to play it up there, debut it maybe at that show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's that would be awesome. There's actually a like a Texas Tech themed bar in Johnson City, Texas. I'm not sure if you know where Johnson City is,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, yeah. But there's a bar there. It's called Wreck 'em Right, and it's just not what I was expecting there to be one there because it's just so far from like, I would think maybe like A&M or Longhorn themed bar just because it being close to Austin and that
Yeah.
area, and then but like but yeah, I guess the owners are went there or something. I don't know, but I went in there and it's a pretty cool place because it's like they have I think it's like a brewery. I'm not sure. They have some like local beer and stuff in there, but and then they do concerts and stuff too. Like I know Brandon Ryder's playing over there.
Yeah.
I think like next weekend or
Yeah.
something too. But
He
Johnson City's got a nice little music scene and stuff too. So
Yeah. Shout out Brandon Ryder. He's a Bell County guy.
yeah, no, shout out Brandon Ryder. He came and did our first in person video interview, and then I went and saw him play over at oh gosh, that place in the Woodland, the big barn, Dosey Doe,
Oh yeah.
big barn in the Woodlands. Yeah, great acoustics there, and he played an awesome show. It was a weeknight show, and so he came out and he was like, "Dang, I guess this is the weeknight." There's only like maybe 20 or 25 people there, but it did not change the show. It actually was better because it was just super quiet. You could hear him sing and everything, and it was just a different experience than like a normal show where you're standing and people are talking, having conversations and stuff. Everyone was just like focused on the show, and it was cool. You could be absorbed in the music and stuff, and he told the story behind like every song and stuff too, and it was just neat to get that perspective.
That's why I only have about 20 people at my shows. I like to keep it, entertaining like that.
Well, and it was just uh, he's a really good storyteller too. If you haven't seen that episode, anyone watching this or you yourself, if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it. And he's just like he has a very soothing voice too. He's very mellow. I don't know if that has to do with anything or if he's just really mellow. But he had just come back from Colorado, so I don't know. But
Never,
but he's he's a chill dude and a great storyteller. I'll leave it at that.
it's legit. This is gonna look weird. I'm
Yeah.
actually on my phone charger. And I just looked up and realized I'm pretty much on 0%. So here we go. Now we're all set.
Oh yeah. All right. Well,
It's literally sitting on my charger cable.
okay. Well, we can stop whenever you want, or we can keep going. I mean, it's up to you.
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna edit
your
it.
podcast, man. Uh, I will just, my last parting thoughts for me is just if you're watching in College Station Stampede, February 17th, be there. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a good night that night.
Yeah, and we'll be there too, hanging out. I'll try to bring some business cards for the podcast too.
Uh,
And we'll just it'll be a fun time. So come out and see Garrett. If you see me, you can talk to me too.
yeah.
But this has been
And
the Red Dirt Aggie Show. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, anyone out there, venues listening, if you have a party you want to book us for, any kind of event, bar mitzvahs, we're in. Just message manager at garrettsmithmusic.com. Talk to Harley or Alexa or Alexandria and Alexa. I don't know why. And we'll be there. Now, if you want to say Alexa, play Garrett Smith, do that too.
Yeah, Alexa play Garrett Smith and then get those royalties, right?
That's right. All two
I've
pings.
heard the royalties are terrible though from like streaming. Is that true?
Oh, I'm a millionaire. No, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But
I
I
know
got my
Rich O'Toole
$10.
used
I
to
got my $10 from CD Baby the other day. So thank you to everybody who played Port Aransas on repeat.
because the Rich O'Toole said he used to play his songs on repeat every night so that he could maybe buy a taco like at
Yeah.
$10 or something like that. It's all about the tacos and the chili with them. But yeah, man. This has been the Red Dirt Aggie Show. I'm Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie. That over there is Garrett Smith, back for a second time. Maybe he'll be back again someday. But appreciate you. Oh, there's a thumb on the screen. That was cool.
I
How did
know.
you do
I
that?
went gig 'em and it gave me like a thumbs up icon. That's kind of cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
I wonder
Whoa.
what this does. No, nothing.
Is there? Oh yeah. We need a horns down icon there too.
I bet it might. No, it doesn't.
See, do I get it on? I don't get one.
I'm gonna get banned from playing in Austin. But we saw what you did.
But
No, I won't.
Brian the Red Dirt Aggie, Garrett Smith over there. See you next time. As always, gig 'em and God bless. Peace.
All right.